Okay, welcome to this session, Escape the Corporate Grind. This is for you if you are interested in starting your own online business without overwhelm. And we're going to give you a very practical workshop. This is for professionals who are ready to take control of their careers. It's myself and Denise Chester who will come in a minute. I'm just going to do the opening here and just let you know a little bit more about ourselves. And we're both entrepreneurs as well as business coaches and leadership coaches. So we've got a lot of years behind ourselves, as in like working in a corporate, but then also transitioning into entrepreneurship. So here is Denise. I'll introduce her in a minute. Just to let you know, there's many people that this has worked for. A lot of people that we work with have successfully transitioned from their corporate career into entrepreneurship. And here are just some examples. And then I've just created a list here in terms of, well, who's it work for? It's for people who want to become their own consultants. So I moved over from management consultant, leadership consultant, continuous improvement, process project manager into then my own consultancy. Then we work with other coaches, therapists, people who want to go into well-being, or maybe you want to teach about love, relationships, parenting, money mindset. There's loads of different areas that you can actually move into. So basically, this will work for you if you want to create some sort of coaching, some service-based sort of online business. So we wouldn't really teach you about e-commerce or sort of products that you would sell online, so real products. So that's not really for you. So if you are someone who's looking to move into service-based knowledge business, then this is absolutely the right workshop for you. A bit about myself. I am Sabina Matharu. I'm also the founder of the EmpowerMe Hub and a business strategist. So I do work a lot with entrepreneurs who are transitioning from corporate into entrepreneurship, but also entrepreneurs who have started, they have already got an idea, or they've already have an offer out there, but it's not quite working. So we actually looking over their shoulder and see what's working, what's not working, why is it not working? Let's go and fix it. This is a bit of my story. I was working in a corporate job, a 9-to-5, and then I came out of the 9-to-5. I kind of did it pretty abruptly, probably not what I would recommend, and we'll talk about this a bit later as to how do you best get started. My story is I was pregnant with my second child, and then for me it wasn't feasible anymore to actually go back, and I decided actually I could just set up my own leadership consultancy, and that's what happened. And then further down the line, I had many more ideas. I opened a second business. I wrote a couple of books, went back to corporate and started to inspire other people with empowerment, leadership training, with well-being resources. So I did sort of branch out, and I kind of went back 360 degrees. And I also work with entrepreneurs who want to do the same. So there's a lot that actually happened in that time. And I have to say, it wasn't always plain sailing. It was sailing. It wasn't smooth. And what Denise and I are going to share with you today is actually some of our stories of the pitfalls, the false beliefs that we had when it came to, let's just start the business. It's going to be fun. Obviously, we can be our own bosses. However, just know that it does take hard work, dedication, consistency, and a system and a strategy. And that's what we're here to tell you about today. Over to you, Denise. Welcome.
Thanks. Thank you, Sabine. It's really great to be here. I'm really excited for today's session. This is a topic that's really, really close to my heart, and you'll understand why as we go through my story. I am a mindset and business coach, and I help entrepreneurs with online businesses go from 0 to consistent 4-figure months. I help them really transform themselves from the inside out. I help people become the version of themselves that they need to be in order to create the kind of business that they want to have and to build the life that they want. So I'm using a combination of tools that are conventional, sort of powerful mindset coaching, but also somatic body work. And I teach very simple business systems. And Sabine and I are both going to talk about this as we go through as well, that in the beginning, you don't need everything that you think you need. So I focus very much on setting up those very simplistic systems that people need to get themselves going in the very early days of their business. So like you, Sabine, as well, I work with people that are either at the beginning of their journey, but also those that might have been at it for a year or 18 months or even a couple of years, not quite getting the business going, not getting the leads, not getting the clients, not getting the income. And the reason I'm so passionate about this is my story, because this is exactly what I've been through. If you want to move on so the photos in here, I use these to illustrate the journey, my own personal journey that I've been on in my entrepreneurship journey. So the photo of me on the far left, I worked in corporate. I started my career in corporate, spent a few years in there, and eventually decided to leave and start my own business. At the same time, I had my first baby as well. Now, I qualified as a nutritional therapist and a personal trainer. The photo that you see on the left is me having a photo shoot for my business, my health business. And I was terrified. I discovered after leaving corporate that I had no self-esteem, no confidence, no self-belief. Trying to get this business going, didn't have a clue what I was doing, didn't know what to think, didn't have any belief in myself, and found it all very, very difficult. I was very good at what I did. I had clients, I had an income, but I couldn't recognize it. Those imposter feelings running rife. So I have been on quite the journey myself. That first business, I ran it for a few years. I just couldn't get it to where I wanted to for various reasons that we're going to talk about. So I left, I shut it down. I went retrained and went into another industry completely. Long story short, I came full circle and did a lot of work and got a lot of help and a lot of support, a lot of guidance, and set up my second business. And I use these photos to illustrate the complete transformation that I've been through, from somebody that was terrified to show up on social media, terrified to speak at meetings, terrified to network, to being someone that's top right picture, happily all over social media, showing up, very confident, built a successful business. Not only do I put myself all over social media, I'm a guest speaker, I run live events, and that the photo in the bottom is to show that getting out from behind the laptop and meeting people, running events in person is something that I could never have seen myself doing back in the early days. Something that I do on a regular basis. So my journey, my story is exactly what we're going to be talking about today. But this is what I wish I'd had sort of 18 years ago when I set up my first business. So shall we move on? So today, what Sabine and I are here to do is really to keep it real. It's to talk through some of the frustrations, yes, the challenges and the obstacles, but also to talk to you about the potential, the opportunities, which are limitless, really, if you have the right mindset. And in the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey, in the beginning, you're going to be faced with many people telling you that this is what you need. You must have a website. You must build your personal brand. You need this funnel. You need this sales system. And we want to cut through all of that noise and show you exactly what you do need and some of what you don't need in the beginning, in the early stages.
Perfect. So, well, what is the landscape right now? This is I know this is happening in the corporate world right now. I'm still doing a lot of leadership training and consulting, and we know that the job security isn't there anymore. There are lots of redundancies, restructures, and automation coming in, and outsourcing, and a lot of jobs are going to low-cost countries. Then we also know there's a lot of burnout and stress. A lot of absences, and perhaps people having to take on even more work because some of the jobs have gone or been outsourced to other countries. Then the salaries feel stagnant, and whilst the living costs do rise, so there is definitely a squeeze there. Work-life balance feels a bit impossible because there's so much demand now, and we don't really know how to get the work-life balance. And I think that's actually another conversation we would have inside the EmpowerMe Hub, by the way, because well-being is a big part of this as well. And we as entrepreneurs need to still look after our well-being, because so easily we could just work even longer hours than we would have done in the corporate. And perhaps if you, like us, Denise and I had a significant life event. We had kids, and we decided, well, perhaps it's time to do something else, and we had to rethink. And then also, sometimes you have a time when you are losing a purpose, when you are in a job, and you have this kind of identity crisis, and you're thinking, actually, I'm not sure if this is the right pathway for me, if I'm still enjoying this. And you kind of, yes, just starting to awaken to the fact that perhaps there is something else out there, something more that you could do. I mean, this is definitely something that I think both of us really thought when we were becoming aware of the changes and other things we could be doing, and how we could, just really get to more of a fulfilled way of working. And I think these are all the considerations when thinking about going into entrepreneurship. And these are, I guess, the exciting things, like, get away from all of this. However, I said, we are going to keep it real. And we know that you might think, okay, I want to leave, I want to start my own business, I'd like to be flexible, time freedom and all that, take as many holidays as we want, no more boss, don't have to ask for any holidays, want to be independent financially, it's like making a lot more money and we don't have to worry about it anymore. We have creative control. Obviously, it's really fulfilling our purpose and being creative and not having to do the same sort of monotonous task every day or report to somebody. So yes, business will give you the creative control and also will give you the lifestyle where perhaps you can have more time with family, you can travel and also live a healthier life after all. However, this is perhaps what can happen quite often, and just be mindful of it. It's wonderful to have our own business, and we wouldn't be here, talking to you about business startup if we wouldn't enjoy it. And I think the enjoyment outweighs, obviously, the risks and the downfalls. But we want to make sure you are informed of, perhaps sometimes in terms of flexibility, we do work longer hours. I do work sometimes on the weekends and evenings, and there are times when we're maybe not looking after ourselves enough and we have less time available than we would have. And of course, these are phases and sort of batches of sort of pushing work, when we're having, for example, a launch, or we're having events and things like this. Financial independence. Well, the reality is that there are no more consistent paychecks at the end of every month. And business do need funding. So you may even incur losses and debt as well. So that is the reality. Creative control. Business owners also need to fulfill tasks that they don't have the skills to do, or they don't want to do it. So perhaps we have to upskill ourselves, which is great. Obviously, it always has an upside that we are learning and we are becoming more knowledgeable. We just know, sometimes we have to do things which we don't like to do. Of course, you can always hire people that will help you do that. And that's one of the things we're going to recommend, and really think about, how do you get the help, and what sort of help do you need, when and how to get started in the right way. And in terms of lifestyle, well, business owners often take less holidays and have lack of boundaries, because obviously now we're responsible for everything. Maybe we can't afford taking that holiday from a time perspective, or even from a financial perspective, and we're just working. So we've got to be very mindful of that, and really remember that we've got to have those boundaries, and just be aware of these risks.
Yeah, and all of those things that you just mentioned, Sabine, are contributing factors to this. The lack of boundaries, the lack of personal time, the inconsistencies. One of the main reasons for that is, and one of the most kind of shocking things, I guess, when you first start out on your own, is that you realize that you have to do everything. When you're in a corporate scenario, you've got teams, you've got a sales team, a marketing team, you've got the finance team, you've got the C-suite, you've got support staff. You know, when you're working on something, 9 times out of 10, if you need something, you ask for it and it's given to you. You can focus entirely on delivering what it is that you focus entirely on your role, and you have the entire ecosystem around you to support you. I think one of the biggest shocks for me, definitely, and when I'm talking to my clients, is that they have to do everything themselves. And in the beginning, this can be very overwhelming. You have to do the marketing. You have to become a marketer. You have to become a salesperson. You have to be the CEO. You have to deal with the money. You have to buy the stationery. You have to get your laptop fixed if it breaks down. You have to do everything. What this means is that you're going to come up against skills gaps and knowledge gaps, and you're going to come up against a lot of feelings, a lot of doubt, because you start thinking, you know, can I even do this? Because you're suddenly faced with all these roles you didn't have to do before, and you have to learn them pretty damn quick. And what I want to say here is that you don't need to know everything at the start. It is a very steep learning curve, and it requires a lot of energy and input and commitment, right? But you can learn as you go. And I don't want you to feel that you have to learn all this stuff before you can get started. And that's key. You get started and you learn on the job. You don't need to know everything right at the start. And that's what the point of today's session is. We're going to tell you, we're going to show you and share with you the things that are important to know at the start. But the key here is that, yes, you're going to have to wear all the hats. It can feel very isolating, but you can learn this stuff as you go through. What you're going to find is that these knowledge gaps, these skills gaps that I said you're going to come up against, are going to create some emotional obstacles for you to overcome. And pretty much everybody that goes on this process, that starts their own business up, will go on this ride, this emotional roller coaster. It's normal. That's the thing that I really want you to take from this. Imposter feelings, you're going, and by the way, I say imposter feelings, not imposter syndrome, because it just feels too heavy, and like syndrome feels like there's something wrong with you. And the point is, there's nothing wrong. It's completely normal to be filled with self-doubt at some of these points. You know, can I do this? Am I good enough? Will I be able to learn? Will I make enough money? Am I good enough to do this? Research shows that 70% of professionals experience imposter feelings at some point or another during their career, and quite often it's frequently. So you're really not alone when you have these things. You may already be familiar with this from your own corporate role. It's, you know, people come across self-doubt, come across imposter. I want to acknowledge that it can be debilitating, right? That's my experience. I was absolutely plagued with imposter feelings, but what I'm trying to get to is that it's utterly normal. You're probably going to experience it. The trick or the tack is to really find strategies to overcome it. Talk about it, get help, ask for support. Talking about it and asking for support are the best way to deal with imposter feelings. And knowing that you're going to face them is half the battle. You can start to put strategies in place, ways that you can manage these feelings. It's the same with the fear of failure. If I give up my corporate job and I start a business, what if I fail? What if I have to go back to work? What will people think? You know, it's like this fear of failure, the fear of rejection is huge for a lot of people. And again, it's completely normal. You're stepping into something new. You haven't done it before. You don't know if it's going to work. And this is key. There's a lot of uncertainty that you must be able to manage, to deal with. So accepting, knowing that fear of failure, you're going to come up against it. Everybody has that feeling. And again, developing strategies, developing tools, developing emotional resilience to know that yes, failure is normal. You're going to feel it, but you can overcome it. So you can overcome all of these feelings because they're just coming from ideas in your head. Motivating yourself when you're on your own and you're wearing all these hats and you've got imposter feelings and self-doubt and fear of failure going on is tricky. But again, it can be done. It's a skill that you learn as you go. And a couple of techniques that work really well with my clients is first of all, I really like the concept of the gap and the gain. If you're constantly looking at the gap, which is where you want to get to, which is this idea that you have for yourself, this dream that you have for yourself. If you're always looking forward, like, oh my God, all these things I've got to do this, I'm never going to get there. It's too hard. It's too far away. It's very unmotivating. You want to do the opposite and look at the gain. And the gain is the steps that you have taken, the progress that you have made, the successes and achievements. So constantly measuring yourself against where you've come from rather than where you've got to go is very, very helpful in keeping yourself motivated, because there's nobody else to do it for you. There's no CEO, there's no line manager, there's no one to be accountable to. You've got to provide all of this for yourself, which requires a whole different skill set. And the second technique that I use with my clients is to create their North Star, their big vision. Be very clear on what it is that you want to create, what it is that you want to achieve, and have that in mind. That's where you're aiming for. So when times are difficult, when you're faced with the imposter feelings, when you're faced with fear of failure, you can come back to that. This is why I'm doing it. This is what I want. And this is the reason why. Get really clear on why it's important to you. And resilience and adaptability are going to be two of your biggest strengths as you go through this. Things are going to go wrong. You know, you might have a launch that flops. Nobody likes your content. Nobody shows up for your workshop. Doesn't matter. The ability to get up and keep going, try something else is absolutely key. This flexibility to not be knocked back or completely derailed when things don't go quite according to plan. That is going to be one of your key strengths here. So I've said that you're going to be faced with these emotional challenges, and that's true. That's pretty much true. It's really important that you understand that and are prepared for that right at the start. And the reality here, it says that, you know, owning a business isn't easy. Setting up on your own is not for the faint-hearted. I really want that to be clear. It requires dedication, energy, and commitment, but it can be done, right? It is absolutely possible for you, with the right tools, with the right support and the right guidance, because we can do this. For me, it always comes back to awareness with mindset. Awareness of, like I said, with the North Star, with your big vision. Why are you doing this? What is it that you want to achieve? What are the reasons behind it? Why does it matter to you? Become crystal clear on that. Also, be aware of your strengths, your achievements, your strengths outside of the workplace. You know, look at yourself as a whole person. What are your strengths? What are your obstacles? What do you want to achieve? And why is it important to you? Get really clear on that, and very, very crystal clear. Become someone that's mindful of their own thoughts. You've got to be aware of what you're thinking. What beliefs do you have about yourself and your ability to generate a business, to generate clients, to grow a successful business? What stories have you got around that? Or I can never do that, or I can't do the marketing, I'm not very good at sales. You know, understand what are the thoughts that you have when you think about starting and running your own business. Boundaries, being talked about boundaries, and yes, it's important to have boundaries around your time. But for me, in the early stages of the business, it's about boundaries around your energy. You are going to be faced, like I said, with lots of messages and people saying you need this system, you need this strategy, you need this, I don't know, app, this bit of software, this thing, this thing, this thing. Understanding the priorities, learning what actually matters, what makes a difference, what moves the needle in your business in the early days will allow you to set your boundaries around your energy, focusing on those areas of the business, focusing on the tasks that you know will make a difference and move the needle. For example, you'll be told, for example, that you need a website at the start. You don't need a website when you're getting going. That's a distraction. So when you know what you're trying to get to and you know what actually works in the business, and that's the point of today's session as well, then you can focus on those tasks and avoid the other things which are a distraction. Mindset is a huge topic, and I coach people for months on their mindset, but to distill it down a little bit, it's a transition from an employee to a CEO mindset. It is completely and utterly different. You have to leave so much behind. One of the things that I learned from my first business is that I didn't ask for help. I didn't ask for help at all, really. And when I did ask for help, it was too late for me. So understanding that, yes, you feel like you should know everything, and recognizing that it can be scary sometimes to ask for help. You worry that you're going to look incompetent. You worry that you might get help and it still doesn't work for you. But getting the right help is crucial. And I've said it before, failure really is part of the process. Shifting this mindset from failure being something negative. I think, we've all gone through the school system where you fail a test, you fail an exam, you fail on sports day. Failure is something bad. It's something constricted. It makes you feel negative. So we can change that mindset. Failure is just feedback. It's just data. It's just telling you what worked, what didn't work. This didn't work in this way at this time. So embracing failure as part of your process to success. There's no success without failure. And if there's one thing that you take away from this, it's that all the growth is going to happen outside of your comfort zone. Yes, I know that's a bit of a cliche, but it's true, and it's worth repeating that the best thing you can do for yourself is to become comfortable with discomfort, because everything good is going to happen when you push yourself. If it was easy and comfortable, everybody would be doing it, right? So the people that succeed are those that develop the tools, the strategies, whatever they need, the techniques to push through that discomfort, to sit with it and to keep going. So it would be helpful then to start small. You don't have to go diving in at the deep end and quit your job and start overnight. So our recommendations is to choose a business model that works for you in your current circumstances and expect to work without an income. I say to my clients to have 2 years of financial resources put aside. If they want to leave their work, you must get on board with this idea that there's a lot of work in the beginning and you may not see returns immediately. It could be 6 months, could be a year or more. When you know these things, you can prepare in advance and put strategies in place to deal with them. Should we move on? Okay, sorry. Reframing success. So part of this whole reframing of the mindset is changing what success means to you. So in the corporate world, success is usually about the measurables, the job titles, the promotion, the pay rises, the projects that you worked on. Is that what is driving you, though? Often people find that when they get to a point in their career, they're very successful in their corporate role. They've had the job titles, they've got the status, they've got the financial income, and yet something missing, something calling them. They want to make an impact. They want to create something. There's a dream that they have. Things shift. You're no longer working towards those same goals that you had before. It's really important as part of that clarity, awareness piece that you understand what success actually means to you. Is it creating a business that gives you a comfortable income but allows you to spend way more time with your family, with your children? Is it creating a business that you only work 6 months a year and you take the other 6 months off completely? Is success for you working out the back of a camper van as you travel around the world? Becoming very clear on what success actually means for you now is an important part of creating your vision, because that's what's going to keep driving you forward. And that story I told you earlier about me and my first business, which eventually I shut down, part of my problem about showing up, this absolute terror I had of being on social media or of speaking up in a meeting or of public speaking in general, came from the years that I'd had in the corporate sector, where it was utterly drummed into me as a young woman that professionalism was like the thing. You cannot be unprofessional. So when I started to set up on my own, everything I did felt unprofessional. I felt completely paralyzed with fear because of that. So it's really important to understand that as you move away from corporate into creating your own thing, those rules no longer apply. Of course, you want to have integrity and be ethical and, all of those things that normal good humans are, but you can remove the straitjacket of corporate professionalism and decide what success looks like and who you want to be in your new business. So being very clear on your vision and what success actually means to you now is a big part of this whole mindset shift. Let's move on. So to kind of summarize those, the key takeaways for you really are: self-belief is so crucial here, because like I said in the beginning, there's going to be a lot of work. There is going to be very few or no clients and income. And we talk about this being a long game, but it's not just an intellectual concept, it's real. In the beginning, you have to be prepared to be patient. Or another way of putting it is seeing the work that you're doing now as laying the foundations. And there's a very common analogy about planting a seed and nurturing it. For me, I talk to my clients about sowing garlic. I don't know if you've ever grown garlic yourself, but you have to plant the garlic clove, 5 centimeters below the surface of the soil. And I remember the first time I did that, I was thinking, how the hell is this ever going to go? How will it grow? There's not even going to get any sunlight. There's 5 centimeters of soil on top of it. Nothing happens for months. And then you get the green shoots and you end up with all these massive garlic cloves. My point is that there will be a period of time where it feels like nothing is happening, nothing's working, nothing is growing, but it is. It really is, because when you're committed and you do the tasks that move the needle, if you're consistent, if you keep showing up again and again and again, even when it feels like no one's looking or no one's listening, that's the foundation. And eventually this stuff pays off. So patience and recognizing it's not going to be an overnight success. It just doesn't happen that way. And so, of course, you need resilience. You need to be able to adapt. Like I said before, things are going to go wrong. You're going to have offers that don't generate any sales. You're going to launch courses that may not have any takers. These things happen. And like I said, failure is just as feedback that this didn't work in this way at this time. How will you adapt it? How can you come back from that? What can you learn from it? What can you add to it? What can you take away from it? Flexibility and adaptability are crucial strengths to have when you're running your own business, because that will allow you to keep going when you get the knockbacks. And then eventually you start to see those green shoots. Things will happen for you if you can make these shifts and generate and cultivate these strengths of resilience and adaptability. So that's the sort of mindset piece, the shifts that you need to make, the skills that you need to cultivate. How do you actually get started? What do you actually do? Well, here you've got a couple of options. You can just leave your job and start overnight. Absolutely, you can do that. People do that. It's not what I would recommend. It's high risk. It's extremely intense. And there's a lot of pressure. You're under this pressure to start making money quickly, start generating some income quickly. People do it and it can work, but there's no guarantee. What we recommend for most people is starting on the side. So you can carry on in your corporate role, whatever you're doing, and start to build something outside of that. And yeah, it is extra work. Yes, you have to put extra work in outside of your normal role. But as Sabine's going to talk about, it doesn't have to be hours and hours and hours. There are better ways to do this. But if you want to get going, this is probably the best way. And this is the key, though. You'd still need to get going. Even if you're not jumping off the deep end and, diving in head first, even if you're starting slowly, get started. Sabine's going to talk about some of the things that you can actually do to get started, but this is the key. Don't wait until you feel ready. Don't wait until you think you've got all your ducks in a row. Don't wait until you think you've got expertise in all areas. You just get started now.
Okay, thank you so much for this. This mindset piece is really huge. And I think we have to fuse this together, mindset and strategy. We always have to walk hand in hand with that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the strategy in terms of how to best transition. And this is something that I realized in hindsight. I could have done this from corporate to entrepreneur. How about using 1 hour a day? Or if you only have weekend, obviously you could actually choose to do this on a weekend. So it's really about getting into the habit of consistency. And of course, you got to get started with a North Star. You need to know where do you want to be and set yourself some timelines, because otherwise it's not going to happen. You're going to procrastinate and it's going to take forever. So dedicate an hour a day if you can, or some time on the weekends to move that business forward. Then number 2, we need to really focus on high impact tasks that really move the needle. And I talk about this all the time with my clients because I'm seeing so many people getting caught up in shiny object syndrome. I would say shiny object syndrome, because it is about, I need a website, I need a polished logo before I ever get started and get myself out there and visible. Well, actually, it's not true. I got caught up in the website thing myself, and finally after 18 months I did have a website. I actually started off trying to build my own website, which was a big mistake because I didn't know how to build websites and it looked really awful. Then I ended up spending more time and then money to actually get someone to do a website for me. But that doesn't mean that people just came because the website was up. Actually, I still needed to put a lot of time and energy into then go and promote the website and being seen out there. So just bear that in mind. And I will talk about that in terms of what are the activities. We'll have sort of 4 core pillars, which I will cover in a moment. And then, number 3, this is also something that we could be caught up in, information overload, because there's so many self-help books, YouTube videos and courses and things that you could be taking, and then we get caught up with just learning and learning and learning but not taking action. So again, this is something to be very mindful of. Yes, we do need some research, we do need the planning, but as I said, we don't need the website, we don't need the fancy software or complicated things. It can absolutely confuse and it can freeze, and it can not help you to move forward, and it's a tool for procrastination, I would say, because a confused mind is not taking action. So be very, very selective with what you're choosing to do and how you're moving forward. So these are basically the 4 essential business components. If nothing else, these 4 things are guaranteed to move the needle. Number 1, you obviously need an offer. You need something to sell. And the first question you want to ask yourself is, well, what problem can I solve? And who am I solving this problem for? And yes, there is some research around who are my competitors, what are the real problems of people, and then you get to a messaging, basically your message, your elevator pitch, and an offer in terms of what's included, how do you work with people, right? But in general, you need an offer, and it can be as simple as a Google document, really, or a Word document. That could be your offer. Number 2, visibility. As I said, you don't just build a website and people will find you, or you post once on social media and then there's a flood of people clicking the link and they come and pay. That's not going to happen. There's so much distraction out there. People will need, I think, even more than 7 touch points nowadays. They have to see you over and over again. You got to be very consistent with your messaging and how you show up, and you need to be visible. And that visibility can be on several platforms. I will talk about the visibility strategy, but just know, you need to go out there to find people. Number 3, you need to be able to take a payment. How are people going to pay you? Obviously, there is a tool called Stripe. This is free. You can sign up for it, and then you can take credit card payments. The same with PayPal. You can create something called a PayPal page or a PayPal button. And of course, there are other softwares out there where you can create whole sales pages. As I said, keep it simple. You can even just ask for a bank transfer. You just send an invoice with your bank details, and that's how you can take payments as well. And then number 4, you want to think about what's your platform? How are you going to deliver the services? If you're doing coaching or courses or some sort of consulting, are you going to deliver in person? So like Denise, she's running in-person events. So that's your platform then. Maybe you need some materials, workbooks, PowerPoint decks, templates, I don't know, right? Think about how you're going to deliver this, and perhaps also where you're going to store this information so that you can actually easily give this to your clients. Think about onboarding. When you are getting a client, how do you onboard them? What's the process? Is it a kickoff call? Is it a Zoom call? Is it a Google Meets? Is it a Team Meets? So just work these things out and know what you're going to be doing at every stage when it comes to delivery. And of course, when you are creating, for example, courses, maybe you have some videos, so you want to think about how do you store the videos, how can people access videos? Is it a platform where people put in their username and the password and then get to the paid content? So these are all things to then figure out. But again, start small and keep it simple. Back to you. Back to you, Denise.
Thank you. So your offer, I mean, as it says, it's the foundation of your business. Without an offer, you've got nothing to sell. So there's no business essentially. So there are some really critical points here. You're in the beginning, especially, your offer needs to be clear and compelling, and tell your potential clients the outcome that you will help them achieve in your offer. So you don't want your potential clients guessing, what is it? What will I get? What's the results that I'll get? Tell them in your offer, what are they going to get? So you need to know very clearly, what is the problem that you're going to help solve? Who is it for? And why does it matter? That is really crucial. It often gets left out and forgotten, and it creates a lot of problems in selling offers. So I'll give you an example. Say you want to become a sleep coach. That's what the business you want to build. You want to be helping people get quality sleep, and you're creating an offer that's going to be for new mums who you help them getting baby and mum into a regular sleep pattern so they can sleep through the night. You might have a new mum who's a stay-at-home mum, for example. She's got a baby. The baby's not sleeping, as they do. She's up every night, several times in the night. She's exhausted. She's irritable. She's upset. She's disappointed. All of those things. Perhaps she's already got an older child. Maybe there's a toddler, and her husband, her partner, is working full-time, so she's on her own. Would she like an offer that would help her and her baby sleep more? Probably, maybe. But compare that to a new mum, same situation with a baby, maybe has an older toddler, but who has an existing service-based business and clients. Say she's a VA, delivering VA services to her clients. And she's back at work because she's got to generate an income, but she's so tired, she keeps having to push deadlines back or cancel client sessions or even turn down new business. So she's really worried that her business is going to suffer, her clients are going to walk away, and she's going to potentially lose her business. So which of those would be more, which of those scenarios do you think is more applicable to your offer? If you have a new mum who's a stay-at-home mum, yes, she would love more sleep. Yes, she needs help. Yes, she desperately needs that extra support in getting to sleep. But if she goes for coaching with a sleep coach, she's going to have to show up to your sessions. She's going to have to find the money. She's going to have to put the time in, learn the techniques, practice them. That might actually feel like more work for her. Maybe that offer's not quite suitable, but the offer for the mum that has a business that she's scared it's going to go under, or she's not delivering to her normal standards, she really needs that help. She really needs you. So that why is really important. It's a crucial difference. And what differentiates your offer? I'm a mindset and business coach. There are thousands of mindset coaches. There are thousands of business coaches. There are very few new ideas. So within your offer, the thing that you're delivering, the problem that you solve, you have to have some kind of differentiating factor. Now, there are lots of mindset coaches. There are lots of business coaches. I do both. But I also work with the body. I do some somatic stuff, some physical intelligence stuff. A lot of the things that I teach are neuroscience based, around neuroplasticity. So those make me different. There aren't many people doing what I'm doing, teaching what I'm teaching in the way that I do it. In fact, there isn't anybody else doing it that way. So that differentiates me. So you must have a very clear offer with a very clear and tangible outcome. I help new mums with an existing service-based business, get to their baby and them sleep within 3 months so they can continue to deliver their services to the best of their ability. What is it that you're doing? Who do you help? And why is it important? What's your differentiating factor? And in the beginning, it's likely that at some point you'll develop your suite of offers. You might have low ticket, mid ticket, high ticket, premium, whatever. To start with, though, highly recommend you pick one problem and your offers gives one solution to that one problem. Keep things as simple as possible for yourself in the beginning so you can focus entirely on creating the marketing, the promotion, the vibe, the energy, the name for yourself around solving that one particular problem for that one particular client before you move on and add more services, add more offers. So let's move on. So the delivery methods, how you're going to actually deliver the service, the offer that you create. And like Sabine said, there are lots of different ways that you can do this. One-to-one, face-to-face or online or across a Zoom call or something, coaching, consultancy, mentoring. This is probably the most intensive version, will require the most delivery from you. So you've got a one-to-one relationship. This is more likely to be that higher ticket end or premium service. You can have a one-to-one with a VIP package, whatever, but you're face-to-face either in a room or most commonly these days online. And that's what we're talking about here in online business, working one-to-one with your clients. You've got the option to deliver a course. You create a course and you deliver it over and over again. Or perhaps you want to build a membership where you have a container for your clients and they subscribe a monthly fee to stay in that membership. And each month, perhaps you give them one-to-one coaching or group coaching. You deliver new content, new trainings. You might get new speakers in. I don't know, whatever you envisage for yourself. That's another option you've got. At the other end of the scale, this is usually more of a lower ticket offer, is with digital services or digital products. Now, this usually means something that you create once and sell many times. Often, most usually, it's a low ticket offer. People selling their digital products for sort of £7, £17, $27, whatever. It doesn't have to be as low as that, but it is usually a lower ticket offer. But the point is you create it once and you sell it many times. But because it's low ticket, you need a high volume of sales. And there's no interaction with you and the client. So if that sounds appealing to you, that's more of a direction you can go into. If you're doing this because you want to work with people, you want that one-to-one interaction, you need to be at the other end, the one-to-one coaching, the consultancy. And of course, you can have a mixture of all of these things. I've got 2 digital courses. One is for camera confidence and one is for overcoming imposter feelings. That's something that I've created, but there's no involvement with me. My own coaching offer is a combination of a digital course, which people can complete in their own time, but then there's intensive one-to-one weekly coaching sessions. So you can combine these offers, but start with one in mind. Work out where you feel is most aligned with you, your vision of success, how you actually want to work. Remember, this is a business that you are creating. So create the business that you actually want to run. If you don't like working with people, create digital products. If you love working with people, do the one-to-one or the group stuff. So make the decisions based upon what will work and what's aligned with what you want to achieve for yourself and your business.
Thank you so much, Denise. You've really explained this very, very well. And I wish I had you as my coach many years ago when I started, because I was confused about what I should be offering and how it's all working. And the fact that, if there are ways to have recurring revenue streams and that one should have that as well. And also a way to leverage your time are the digital products or courses, and having a bit of both for me is now ideal. I started off with coaching, consulting, one-to-one, and I think it is a great way to get started because you don't have to have a lot of technology set up, but then you can actually work your way through and use some of the other tools and add that into the mix as well. So how are you now going to get visible and sell these courses? So here is a little diagram that I've created. And I just have to say, look, we all think we need to become now TikTok and Instagram influencers and all hip and all that, but I'm not like that. And I think, Denise, you're not quite like that either. And there is a way to actually become visible and sort of connect with the right people without all of this. And actually, social media can be very, very overwhelming. So here are a few other things that we can be doing. And also, it's not about quantity, it's about quality. Okay. So firstly, one way is obviously using social media, and definitely LinkedIn is a great tool to use, depending obviously on your audience. LinkedIn, it's great because we know there are a lot of professionals out there, and you can actually research them. There's everyone's got their job names and roles and stuff on there, and their background. So there's more insight on LinkedIn than on other platforms. Whereas, like, for example, Facebook and Instagram, they're a bit more social. But obviously, we can also run ads on all of these platforms. So there is a way to, we call it organic outreach, to organically network with people. Then we can also run paid ads as well. Really, what you would do is you would share insights, your own insights, your content. You would write about your expertise and connect with potential clients that way. And it's always about connecting first, providing some free value so that they can see, oh, I probably need this service, rather than just sending a sales pitch. That just doesn't work. Secondly, you could get involved in several communities. There are different groups on Facebook, LinkedIn, and other platforms where there are communities. And again, it's about engaging. It's about connecting with people, having conversations, adding value, sharing your point of view. Maybe you're writing an article, you could share that. Maybe you want to do a video, you could share that. It's really about leading with value. Number 3, strategic partnerships. Collaborate with aligned partners for mutual growth. That's what we're doing here, Denise and myself. We are partnering up because we're doing something similar. We have similar audiences, and we know that we can actually add value to each other's audiences. And also, entrepreneurship can be very, very lonely. So make sure you do have people around you, even if it's going to a networking event. Again, it's going to help you get visible, but also it could create strategic partnerships. It could be someone, you could collaborate with someone who does complementary business, who again has the same audience, but they're doing something slightly different. And maybe you are going to solve a problem which the other person can't solve. Like, this is what we've done with the EmpowerMe Hub. Whilst I can teach about business and I could do leadership stuff, well, I know that people also need well-being support, or maybe parenting support and illness support or divorce support. And that's why I'm bringing different partners into the EmpowerMe Hub who can speak about this. And so my clients are very happy clients, because now they can tap into other resources which I can't fulfill on my own. So again, it's really about tapping into each other's audiences and supporting each other. And then, of course, we have referral and requests. Don't underestimate, once you have a client, ask them, would you be happy to refer me? Do you know other people who need my help? Maybe they need some more support. Maybe you want to think about structuring your program so that there is a continuity, there is an ongoing engagement. Maybe they do a 90-day program with you first, but then what about the rest of, do they need more work? Maybe they will go to another coach or another person who will give them some other different service or the next level service. Maybe you can provide that as well, and you have an ongoing engagement thereafter, like a retainer or a subscription service. So really think about that, because you want to utilize your existing clients as well. And then, of course, get testimonials and share the testimonials that will then feed into all the other pathways above, because you want to go back into LinkedIn, into the community, and say, hey, this is what I've just been working on. I've been working with this on on this project with this client, and this is what's been happening. Storytelling, that's really important. Not just sales. It's about sharing what you're working on, sharing your stories, sharing your progression, your journey. Maybe you're stuck on something. Share that with people. Yeah, sometimes we do need to get vulnerable because we want to share that we're going to show that we're actually also real people and we're working through this. We are problem solvers, and we are on a mission, right? We want to share these things. So that's a couple of ideas for visibility. There's obviously many, many more strategies, but as I said, this is all about keeping it simple, and this is how you can get started. And quite often you can get started for free or have a low budget when it comes to creating or following these strategies. However, well, we said this now several times. We suggest don't do it alone. Get the support. The support that, the ideal level of support is really, yes, get an expert who knows, who is a couple of steps ahead of you. You want to get all the tools that you need to launch and to grow and to set yourself up to make sure that when you are creating an offer, that someone can look over your shoulder and can give you feedback. When you go out to market, you test it, or when you do research, again, you need feedback, you need support and guidance as to where to go, how to find the right answers, and what to do with this. And then accountability. I think Denise said it's a whole mindset thing, right? It's like we can get stuck, we fail, and then all of a sudden we're not motivated anymore. We're not progressing with the business, and we may stop and then kind of fail altogether, I guess. So it's really important to keep track on your goals, and also keep track and sort of just remember what your North Star was. Why have you started this business? What are you really passionate about? So this is really big when it comes to accountability and remembering your goals. And then lastly, a great community around you. As I said, entrepreneurship can be really lonely, and to have people that you can talk to and understand what's going on in their business and in their world, and how they are failing, trying again, and what they're doing is really, really important and so super helpful. So anything else here before we move into, well, this is what we've created and how we can help you, because these are all the things that we knew we wanted, Denise, isn't it? These are all the different levels of the onion, if we could, to create a whole and put different puzzle pieces together. And that's why we've created the EmpowerMe Hub.
Yeah, I mean, I think I second everything you said, particularly around entrepreneurship being very isolating. It can be very lonely in the beginning. So for me, it's not just about getting support. It is about immersing yourself in a world of people who are doing similar things to you, and people who have already done the thing that you want to do. So, they say that you're an amalgamation of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So, find people who are like you, find people who want to do what you want to do, and find people who've already done it. My journey was incredibly painful with my first business. And this, like you said, this is the stuff that I wish I'd known before in the early days. So get support and just keep things simple, keep things really simple. And remember, when it comes to mindset, it's like remembering who you want to be. Remember the person that you want to become, and be constantly on a journey to become that person. So that's what I would add to that. Thanks, Sabine.
Exactly. And this is why we've partnered up. Denise and I, we do run startup business growth sessions and courses and programs. And one of we've created a community to start with, right? The EmpowerMe Hub could be one way of getting the support initially, because we, as I said, we have so many different challenges, not just being a leader and then moving into entrepreneurship. Maybe we're We have home life challenges that we want to tackle. And so we're addressing not only just one element, but we're addressing different areas in your life. So we have an integrated, sustainable approach inside the EmpowerMe Hub. And when you come in, there are courses and programs to help you start your business, and you get access to myself and Denise. We will help you create a step-by-step roadmap. We've got this supportive community, and also an integrated expert coaching approach and different resources. Best is I'll just show you as to how that looks. How would you create your step-by-step roadmap? Well, one of the things is we have an assessment. So when you come into the EmpowerMe Hub, there is a Get Started area where you go through an assessment as to like, where would you like to get started? What are the resources that are most useful for you? And then you progress through that. We have a community. This is not a social media platform. It is a closed learning community that we've created specifically for this purpose. So we have discussions in there. We can answer questions. You can post your ideas. You can post wins, or you can just go and consume the resources, because we also need it to be a safe place. Sometimes people are dealing with challenges and they may not come forward and they may not want to share, and that's fine as well. So it's however you want to use it. We've got networking, Q&A sessions, peer support, and accountability. Then we have a tab where you will see a calendar. We have guest speakers coming in, and we always ask our community, who do you want us to bring in? What kinds of topics would you be interested in? So that's the brilliant thing about this community. We're actually working together to formulate this. It's not a fully ready-made and or polished space yet, because we can actually shape it together. We have round tables with speakers coming in. You can ask questions. We can have integrated discussions. We have EmpowerMe hours where we help you review your goals and set new goals for the next month. And we also have Get Started sessions, which are live. So this is all displayed on the calendar. It's really organized. You can just click on it and you can hop on a Zoom with us. And of course, all the replays will be stored inside our vault. So we also have a classroom where we have all the event replays and other mini trainings with the workbooks, journals, meditations, coaching, Q&A, you name it. So there's a lot already in existence, and you can just go through in your own time as a self-study course, and you can join us in the live sessions. So one thing I haven't added on this screenshot is we have a new area for entrepreneurship. So you'll have different things like career, physical, mental, emotional well-being, self-leadership, team leadership. I've actually created now an area for specifically entrepreneurship, so that you will have access to myself and Denise inside the EmpowerMe Hub. Right now, you can join for a 7-day free trial, because we don't know, right? We don't know if it's going to be a good fit. Come and have a look, test drive the EmpowerMe Hub. You can go through a link that I'm going to be sharing in a minute, or you'll find it somewhere around this video, underneath this video, or above, wherever you watch this video. When you join, you could be starting with the 7-day quest, which will give you a total overview. It's very organized. It's like a treasure hunt, and it will lead you through day by day. You can just have a look at all the different resources that the Hub has. So again, we try to be really, really organized and not just give you a bunch of materials and then, deal with it kind of thing. No, it's like, we'll help you assess where do you want to go first. And of course, if you're coming in to learn about entrepreneurship, it will be very clearly signposted to you as well. So when you click the link, you will come to this page, and basically it will show you what the normal fee is underneath here. And then also you can just click the button, start a free trial, and then you're inside, and we'll welcome you in and show you everything, all the goodies that we have inside. And of course, Denise and I will be there to support you there are additional resources that you can purchase. So if you'd like to join us and work with us a bit more closely, because we do run more intensive, intensive, I'm not sure if that's the right word, sort of more close working, where we can have one-to-one sessions and feedback and more in depth, and we can actually help you implement the 1 hour a day business model. Then we can talk about this as well. Denise, maybe just from you, a very last sort of golden nugget or any remark around how you're finding the EmpowerMe Hub and the pathway that's provided here.
Yeah, thanks. It's been a great session. I've really enjoyed talking about it. I think that, for me, that the hub, and this taps into the point about the collaboration you talked about. It's the ability to work with other people, to learn from other people, to contribute to something bigger than myself. Being part of this hub is extremely valuable, and the knowledge that's contained within it is unprecedented. The level, the quality of the teachings and the coaches and other people that are in the hub is really impressive. So for me, it's been an eye-opening and pleasurable and a learning experience as well. It's not just something that I'm contributing to, it's something that I'm learning from. So I've really enjoyed that so far. And really, I would encourage people to just come along and try it. It's just come and see what we've got available for you. Like Sabine said, there's a 7-day free trial. There's no risk whatsoever. I'm sure you're going to find something that's helpful for you inside it. And this is like part of the CEO mindset: trying, experimenting, going with an idea, trying, seeing if something works, giving it a shot. And that's what we're all about here, making decisions in line with what we want to achieve and who we are, and seeing what resources are available to us and tapping into them. So thanks for today. It's been really brilliant.
Yeah, thank you too, Denise. It's been amazing. And I know we're both very, very passionate about helping others shine and, really, I guess, just starting their business and understanding what it takes and not fail, and know this up front, what could happen and how they can get through the times when it's not all sort of sunny and, we have a rainy day and we get through it together.
Yeah. I know, that the whole thing about failure, and I've said it before, that's the mindset shift. It's not, you can't fail really. You can only fail by giving up. It's all information, it's all data. And again, it's seeing everything through that lens of experimenting, trying, investigating, becoming aware. And don't let failure, just because something's not worked in the past and because we felt like a failure before, perhaps. Even if you have actually failed before, it doesn't mean that that's the future for you. You can create and carve out a completely different future. If you look at my journey, I did essentially fail in my first business because I closed it down. I've gone on subsequently to build a successful business. So that whole shift around seeing failure in a different light, let go of that, the way that we view failure, and embrace it, welcome it. It's part of the journey. So dive into the hub, have a nose around, and look forward to seeing you in there.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.